everyone, and welcome back to another wonderful day of VALORANT Challengers North America's Stage 2. Halfway through our week number 2 here, and still every day has just been filled with the most adventure, the most fun, and I cannot wait to jump into even more. My name is Sierra Dawn. I'm still here, but joining me to cast today, I have Lemon Kiwi and I have my girl Gompers. We got a little dancey dance over here. Jen, you excited for today?
Yeah, we got winners on the desk. We got winners joining us on stream too, starting off with our 1-0s. It couldn't be a better day of hanging out with my gals.
It'll be a fun day. I'm excited to hop into this. Gomps, I know too, you're a big fan of the collegiate scene. We get to see both of our collegiate representatives facing off today, so I know that you must be pumped.
Oh, I'm so excited. We have two teams that I'm pretty big on as well coming into this. So obviously, I mean, we'll get into that. I'll let you say it, Sierra, but I'm super hyped. You guys saw my predictions.
Yesterday, like, Shift and Vans kept spoiling what was coming up next, and you're like, no, they have to wait for that. I respect that. Getting into our schedule to see where today's adventure is going to be leading us. Sure enough, we're going to be having both of our collegiate representations and not facing off against each other, but one and then the next. It's going to be Winthrop going up against YFP first, and then it's going to be Blinn going up against M80. And a refresher on yesterday's exciting matches as well. 2-0s across the board, but Jen, when I say 2-0s, somewhere on one side and somewhere at the distance, it was an adventure. It was definitely a day worth tuning in for.
Oh yeah, the TTR Moist Shopify grudge match, that goes again the way of TTR, and wait for that to break down as the season goes on. And of course the Doughboys edging out also Core is interesting. But I think the real matches are going to begin today, because now we have two collegiate teams battling for our hearts, and Blinn came out of relegation too, so they got a lot to prove.
They definitely do. An exciting roster change as well going in the way of M80. So a lot to discuss, but that series will be a little later on. First, we got to talk about this Winthrop going up against YFP, and start talking about YFP first, because this is a team that, when we're talking about the teams that kind of struggled a little bit during our stage 1, YFP, they didn't have to face that promotion relegation tournament. That's too many syllables in that one, guys. I'm not going to lie. But they definitely kind of struggled a little bit in comparison to Gomps, to the talent that we see across the board on this roster.
When we're speaking of talent, right, obviously two new players kind of walking into the squad of YFP and making a huge change. We got to see them last week. We were able to understand, what they've been cooking, the reason why these players work so well, and even the changes that they made in terms of like what Will likes to play, right, and putting him on something different, and more so just what the comfort really wants to look like for YFP, which I have been really thoroughly enjoying. I think this team is on the right path.
Absolutely. And they're on a redemption arc too, because they almost got relegated. And I know almost isn't certain, but it's the fact that they were that close. So I think they have a lot to improve this stage, and they've already done so in terms of strategy, in terms of players, and I'm excited to watch them today.
And we touched a little bit on these roster changes, but I want to be pulling up a quote from Physic coming out from after last week's game, where they took that 2-0 victory over SAD Esports, and talk about the changes a little bit more. So it was Will and Jake that we saw come into the roster, and I think this was a really, really nice change too here, Jen. We're talking about these revitalized strategies, this energy across the board, and I mean, Will and Jake have that experience. They've been competing in challengers, and I like this direction that YFP has been taking.
And you love that Physic is vocal about the team. This is the IGL, this is the leader. And yes, Jake and Will joined this team for the mid-season cup, and this whole team has gone through a lot of role changes in terms of the agents. Jake takes over the Omen duties while Thief takes over Sentinel. This is a role he's played in the past. Physic is continuing to be their primary initiator, giving up on the Viper since that's sort of fallen out of the meta since we're playing on the Viper nerf patch. This team relies more on Breach and Gecko now that Physic is on a comfort role, while Will is their secondary initiator. But what was so interesting about them is the Physic and Will initiator roles, because initially it was Physic that played a lot of Gecko and Will on the Breach, and now that's swapped. Physic is now on the Breach and Will is on the Gecko. So as time is going on, YFP are really figuring out what their strengths are and where they're comfortable.
which is nice. Maybe it's not too late. Of course, we're getting to the point now in stage 2 where you want to start making these changes and have them really come together. But based off the performance last week, I mean, SAT Esports has been a team that we've gotten to see good things coming out of in stage 1. And this 2-0 victory coming out here, Gomps, I think this was definitely a really, really good sign. I just need to see that momentum carried on today, that it wasn't a little honeymoon phase, that these role changes, this team coming together, it's going to be some good stuff.
Yeah, I think it's the element of surprise and also like just being able to really find your true self for YFP. They've not only, again, rebuilt this entire roster, not entire roster, but rebuilt the roster, but they've also found like something that works for them, something different that people aren't necessarily used to as to per se the last season. So I think that it might be also that. I definitely don't think they're going to go downhill anytime soon though. The performance was great, but I think it really was lying in the mechanics and just the assistance that we got to see from Will giving out and more so stuff like that. So it's a lot of the mechanics that are looking good, and I trust that they're going to continue on.
And talking about one of the changes, I want to dive a little bit deeper into Jake and talk about the stats and what we got to see from his performance last year, Jen, because honestly, highlighted the team. I think the whole team together looks cohesive, but Jake definitely was proving a point last week that this edition was worse.
Yeah, like look at his assists, look at his average kills. Jake is a controller superstar, and this team is going to be very comfortable brawling around him. I think he's going to have a really tough match, though, because he's going to be the controller that's going up against Silence, that new blood, that new pickup from Winthrop that I feel like single-handedly brought Winthrop to victory. So keep an eye on these Omen players and how they're going to propel their team on offenses and really control the pace of play on defense.
I mean, let's talk about this Winthrop roster and this matchup we have going on for today. Winthrop was our very first collegiate team that we got to see here in Challengers, and a team that, I mean, the fan base definitely knows what they're capable here, Gomp, so I'll let you take the floor on this one.
Dude, Winthrop University. Okay, first of all, everyone on this team, there has been a slight change because I'm not seeing the one and only. Man, see, I'm a big fan of him, but then I forget his name, so maybe I'm not. No. He's gonna hate me. I'm definitely getting TMs after this. But Nasi, Jerk, Infiltrator, Screwface, and Silence, of course, this team has just been prepped and ready for the worst, and they've pulled through. I mean, again, down in Split 1, obviously not the best run in the world. They managed to beat certain teams that were quite surprising. But I think right now in this moment, Winthrop University, they've rebuilt just a little bit. They've managed to find who they really want to be. And I feel like it's the same thing for YFP. So again, that element of surprise kind of slowly creeping its way in. For Winthrop University, it's Nasi being able to give out the assists and the shot calls, to really lead this team to success, and everybody else following along and honestly just playing amazingly. I'm a huge fan of the collegiate scene. I think that there's so much talent and potential that people just continue to leave unnoticed. So for me, this team, I wouldn't consider them the top dogs of this. I think YFP definitely have such a good roster, and I think they might be able to really put pressure on Winthrop. But for this team in particular, I think Winthrop is just really going to roll with the punches and honestly put a performance that a lot of people aren't expecting.
Well, they're not the top dogs because they're the top birds, am I right? And they're at least still on the top throne for collegiate teams, and we'll see how Blinn fares in the second match. But just to quickly mention that Winthrop are on a similar road as YFP. They finished 5th last stage. They were almost relegated. They barely missed out on that. It was Dobros that got relegated and then came back. And then both these teams also fell in the first round of the mid-season cup, so I feel like we never got to see that true peak, that true potential really develop in a high-stakes tournament like that. But this is a new stage, and these are new teams, at least front-facing, and in terms of strategy as the meta develops.
I mean, someone that we did get to see a little bit more out of in the Mid-Season Cup, we got to talk about Silence. Playing under a different banner for the Mid-Season Cup, filling in for Turtle Troop here, and then picked up by Winthrop University shortly after. And this was such a nice pickup. I mean, I got the opportunity to sit down and chat with him last week, and this was something that he was approached for after the Mid-Season Cup performance. And honestly, Gomps, what we saw last week, this was so nice. We already knew that he was capable of it. I mean, the results in the past speak for themselves here, but Winthrop grabbing this pickup just in time, I felt like this was a really good controller for the team.
Yeah, Silence is a name that kind of pops up as to where I mean, well, first off, I do want to start by saying, like, I think I recall, like, Winthrop, doing trials and stuff like that and tryouts. I don't even know, way back when. I believe that's their approach to picking up players. So for Silence to be put in a roster like this, it's within reason. I mean, again, stats kind of show for themselves. Being able to set up the team is the most important thing, right? And I feel like here, especially with Nasi, kind of assisting with just making the initiative happen, I think with Silence, he's going to be such a key player to help those initiatives come to life and play with the duelist, play with Nasi and the typical plays they like to do, where the initiator really likes to flash in first and then the controller takes space after that. Obviously, some of the Omen plays that we got to see there as well, but especially having just I think the cohesion to do so. I think everybody here definitely, personality-wise, collides for sure. Everyone on Winthrop is very, very vibrant, and I think it's just going to work.
And you saw at like the very first clip of this montage, Silence is holding Mound on Lotus and just gets a 3K. Like, this guy not only top fragged, and most kills in the entire lobby against fluffy aimers, who I think are a very respectable team. Silence came in and dropped 59 kills over those 3 maps. And not only did he frag and just have the best mechanics in the lobby, but he played like a Giga Chad. He would play in positions, like I said, on Mound, where you're in these 1v3 scenarios, and Silence would get so many multi-kills. He was such a huge part of their success, and I easily attributed him as the MVP of Winthrop.
I mean, even talking to Silence, though, talking about the potential that this Winthrop University team has, and that maybe they didn't have the performance that they wanted here in this stage 1, but hey, baseline is there, the potential is there. So with Silence now in the squad, I'm really excited to see what future is in store for Winthrop University. We'll talk about the near future, though, and talk about our map picks and bans ahead of this series. Jen, to be kicking it off, a fan favorite here of Sunset.
Yeah, Sunset, both these teams love Sunset, so I think they could shake hands, gentleman's agreement, let's settle it there. They've both these teams have picked it 3 times over stage 1, and YFP and Winthrop both played this last week. YFP played this against SAD, won an OT with the Breach Gecko Initiator combo. Winthrop played Sunset against Fluffy Aimers last week, won 13-10, so very narrow wins. But a win's a win, and Winthrop play around the Fade and the Breach, and that's the difference of initiators that's going to make Sunset really fun to watch.
Yeah, it'll be fun, too, with the initiators, considering the role changes that we're seeing on the end of YFP, exactly how these are meshing, and more so of a little bit of a long-term form.
Ascent is gonna be the spice. Like, Sunset's already the appetizer because we got the comp diff there, but Ascent, YFP, we're cooking. I mean, this was cooked by another team. They didn't invent this, but YFP played the double Sentinel with Deadlock, with the solo initiator of Sova. They also play the Cypher. Winthrop won Ascent against Fluffy Aimers, sure, last week in OT, but with double initiator. How is Winthrop gonna fare against the double Sentinel? Not a lot of teams know how to crack that defense, and you might even hate the double Sentinel on offense, but it's the post plant that can really be scary with double Sentinel. So I'm really looking forward to watching Deadlock if it comes out from Will from YFP on Ascent.
Yeah, I think that, and also man, it's so hard because I know I'm such a big Winthrop supporter moving through this, but I also have to give credit where it's due. YFP, again, just the way that they've been looking, the fact that they were able to just do huge smackdowns on teams already leading up to this moment, is Sunset's looking pretty scary in my opinion. I'd have to say the same for Ascent because we did get to see a little bit of what they had to offer, but for Sunset in particular, it's like you said, the double initiator composition really moving in, and I think that the inclusion of the Fade on Winthrop, I like it, but it really doesn't give me enough power as what you would see from the Gecko, right? And the Breach that we typically see YFP Gaming play. We also haven't really seen the new YFP in a map like Sunset either. So there could be changes that we just don't know are coming along. Like, hey, let's scrap the Cypher. Let's go 5 duelists. Obviously, sorry, I got out of hand. My fantasies are taking over. That'd be
a really fun Challengers match, I'm not gonna lie. Big kudos for the first team that decides to be pulling that one out. But I think Sunset, I think the biggest thing is kind of which initiators you're going to be picking up for the team. Though you're definitely right that there is the potential of maybe seeing changes. It has been a little bit at this point since the mid-season cup. And we are seeing some of these compositions out here kind of get a little bit of new life. I mean, Jen, you were talking about that deadlock potential over on Ascent, what YFP pulled out last week. People that are kind of staying ahead, bringing out these new changes before the opponents have an opportunity to react. They're definitely getting rewarded in Challengers so far.
Yeah, deadlock has become something that people are pulling out, at least in Challengers on Ascent, just kind of breaking up the deadlock wall on A main, or using the sonic sensors entry in places where you want to rush in and you're not really checking every wall for every piece of utility. So deadlock being able to slow down the game and really lock up sites is what's really scary, especially aggressive offensive teams. Like deadlock, it just absolutely kills that. It's so many hoops to jump through, but we're gonna at least set the tone on Sunset on more conventional comps before we get to the funny stuff.
I mean, we still have a minute while our players are loading in, but I want to take this time to then question and ask y'all. I know the predictions were a little split over on the desk here, but now that we've seen the maps, do we think this one's going to be a 2-0, or if we're going to be going the distance here? Gomps, I'll put you on the spot first for this.
I'll say I'm feeling pretty bold. I don't know. I'm gonna say that I'm thinking 2-1. I'll be realistic, but I think Winthrop run away with this series. I think realistically YFP definitely take Ascent. I don't think Winthrop win Ascent there. I'm sorry, it's brutal, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. I do like Sunset. I just really would prefer maybe like the Fade switch. I'm not too fond of the Fade under their composition, but I am looking forward to seeing, again, new player, especially since Winthrop was already so strong. Moving into this, I definitely think that they are going to exceed and excel, and it's just going to be super, super close games in my opinion.
I think it all depends on who's going to win that first map, as Gomp said, because both these teams just narrowly won against their opponent last week on Sunset, like OT and 13-10. So yeah, I think dodging YFP on Ascent would have been nice. I give the double sentinel is hard to crack. I don't think a Challengers team has really figured that out. It's just not something you scrim against. So I give YFP Ascent in terms of Icebox. Both these teams don't really care about this map. They don't pick it. They don't really ban it. I want to say, Winthrop picked this against SAD in week 1, stage 1, and then haven't really gone there since. So that's the big question mark. In terms of the Breach Fade or the Gecko Fade, the Fade gives you really hard intel, exact locations, while as Gecko is more of, okay, there's people on the site, but how do you combine that with the Breach is what's going to be important. So Gom's talking about the cohesion is pivotal.
I mean, we'll have to see how this first map of Sunset goes, and the map is ready. Our players are loaded in. The agents select the other side of this. I'll see you two after our first map.
Bye. You have to start with Sunset. It feels a little reverse, though, because it's the sun is going down, but the day has just begun.
The day has just begun. I'm so hyped for the day to begin. I'm honestly hyped for to kind of see what is Winthrop cooking, I'll be honest, because again, we talked a bit about Silence joining the team, obviously filling into that controller role, aim, brain, game, 10 out of 10 already, right? So, I mean, we did get to see a little bit of Silence, but for this match in particular, especially with the nuances of what YFP had to overcome in the Series 1, I definitely think they're here to own and annihilate and get rid of all of that trauma of YFP is bad, but they're not. They're really good now, and I'm so excited for obviously Will to be put on that Gecko.
And Gecko is fun because then you get a little man who does all the job for you of planning the spike. And that's kind of a nice bait, especially if you go through A elbow and you send Wingman to plant. Everyone's going to be shooting at Wingman. And you don't even care if he drops a spike. Don't wait till 5 seconds left to plant, ideally, because, hey, there's some teams that do that. Then you can even get information based on who's shooting Wingman and how you can flash into the site. How do you satchel in behind the Wingman, who shouldn't really be the frontline tank, but, hey, serves as great information.
Yeah, starting off too, I think it's interesting because we're already seeing a setup with YFP looking for some sort of information down in mid, but I do like this because Nasi and Jerk kind of setting up Infiltrator for success, right? Information coming out down to the B site. They don't have to leave too much information. Or they don't really have to leave themselves down on B. So yeah, already working towards that. So
jeez. It's already Winthrop converging from mid, meeting YFP, but a 3K from Thief just swings the round heavily in YFP's favor. They already have the spike. They're going to face up against Jerk, who's going to try and take one with them. Hey, not too bad, but now an open road for YFP to plant.
It's not easy. I mean, big explosion, so kind of leaving your one and only player to them for themselves is going to be quite difficult.
What are we up to here? It's Nasi, and he's got a nasty camera around the corner, fault line, and he just lines it up like that. It's like the training range. Now in a 1v1 against Jake. There we go. I know production's testing me right now. He's gonna tap the spike, get it halfway. Jake swings, and Nasi couldn't pull out the pistol in time, so pistols for YFP.
They did that pretty flawlessly. Honestly, handling such like a big explosion like that off the rip is hard. And you could see it from the start. They were setting up Infiltrator for success there for Winthrop, and it did manage to work for the first couple seconds, but then kind of ripped away by just kind of meeting each other in the middle almost with, you know, YFP kind of prepared for a mid-take, honestly. So, interestingly enough, kind of ending the way that it should have, I think. For Winthrop, though, I mean, quite hard, obviously, tech pause coming through, so thank you guys so much for being patient.
You gotta thank Thief, already our MVP, getting 3 kills in that kind of scramble where Winthrop had the read of going to A site first, and then just that scramble in mid favored YFP in that case. And then there was one player left, I think Jerk on the Cypher, who managed to get 1 pick, and, you know, at least there was either 2 options, right? You were already set up at a lake. You could try and duel the 1v3, see what you can get done, hope that they're not going to check that right away, or you could play with your second man, and he went for the one and done position, and you weakened the offense. It was left to a 1v1, and Nasi almost pulled off the 1v3. It's just you got to play the dance with tapping the spike, and he went for trying to get it halfway instead of just tap and bring the pistol out. So not that I'm going to be nitpicking Nasi, because he kind of almost was a god there for a second, but that was a close pistol round.
It was incredibly close, but yeah, honestly, there really is no but. It was just pretty much like deathmatch at mid. Yeah. So it was like whoever could win that or win the gunfights would be nice. But yeah, big buys off the side of the Infiltrators, I feel, especially like being able to kind of stall that back and more so just kind of deny the big stun that happened from the beginning. I do like the initiative Winthrop are taking, though, like kind of forcing YFP to I guess more so conditioning them to be scared for these very, very aggressive takes and seeing where that can take them for sure. So hopefully later on we get to see how that develops against YFP, a team that honestly is somewhat passive, especially off in the early rounds.
And kind of that aggression versus passiveness, that's where you can kind of test things on the very first round, the very first game. Just you saw Winthrop run it down mid and just see if they could catch YFP and not covering all their bases of just going to A. Sometimes you don't really look at mid and you just go for flashes and you start getting your setups going to get info on the site, and Winthrop thought they could just kind of storm from behind, but it ended up being a front-facing battle where Winthrop I don't think wanted all that smoke. We're not expecting all of YFP to just be sitting in tiles like that. So it ended up just coming down to those shots, and Thief getting 3 is cool. I'm wondering what kind of buy comes out of YFP with that many kills going their way.
YFP about to start cracking jokes at this point.
I'd say rock, paper, scissors, but I can't see you.
I'm like, we could say it, I guess. Like, if you want to do like a,
you're just gonna scream, rock,
paper, ready, yeah. Okay.
So,
all right.
Okay. Rock.
Someone count us down in chat.
So scuffed. Oh my god.
Actually, here, I'll count us down. This is, guys, this is
3,
True
2,
Valorant.
1.
rock. Sorry, I thought we were
Okay.
yelling. My bad.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Scissors.
Paper. Oh,
Wait. How did you go after me and lose? Okay, you know what, guys? The crazy has ended. We're gonna send it to a break, and we'll see you guys for the anti-eco. an overlay with a big old Zippo in the corner. And some big old kills by Penny. Got some paint shells in the back. But man, Winthrop got this site on lock, and he got to look both ways before crossing the road. And YFP already 3 versus 2. It's up to Silence, and he checked the whole way and not in front of him. It's all up to Jerk, who does his best on the A site, but it will be, of course, YFP taking this round because, you know, they got better guns.
Gun here.
They do have the better guns, and honestly, it was very close though. Winthrop taking in, for the first couple seconds, a huge comeback down in an anti-eco round, right? So being able to even pull through with that definitely shows the resolve for this team. But YFP pulling it back the way that it was intended, though Phantom in the hands of Thief playing into that hero rifle along with Penny definitely scare me. A tough, honestly, a quick B take might help, but when you see Nasi and Infiltrator in the same spot, you know there's going to be a big explosive play, so I'm excited to see it.
Not leading towards the A site this time. YFP are going to switch it up, but all 3 of Winthrop around this corner, and even through the boom bot, Infiltrator's got a different level of trust in his team to clear that, so he could focus on moving forward. You know, with the aftershock kill. Either way, Winthrop have just held B down.
Yeah, big space take up on Thief too. Being able to get some sort of tag off of the Fade definitely helps, but now Penny's just trying to honestly fight something back that originally was Winthrop's space, but they finally have it, so they can kind of contest it if they please.
Finally, a Winthrop defense that was able to halt YFP in its tracks. So YFP are going to pivot, and on the other side, Winthrop are going to have their Fade set up to, I don't know if they've prowlered already. And then of course you got that Omen in the back who can support to just really smoke down these sites and allow this Fade to just focus on this A elbow. So there is the Prowler. You heard at least one gun, so there's some action.
30 seconds left.
And I think Winthrop have the read that the pivot is here.
Yeah, Screwface backing off, but they have so much util to use for information at this point, and even then pushback, right? So definitely on the right pathway there if you're Winthrop University.
So far so good. 13 seconds left. YFP gotta start thinking about planting, but Physic, why is he there with the spike? Drops it. Everyone tries to support him, but Screwface gets 3 this round. A flawless defense for Winthrop to try and turn the tables.
Yeah, they took a big play there. I honestly, I think their Screwface a huge factor as to why that A site push didn't work. They managed to push back. They got early information off of Jerk, who couldn't contest that space. So then it really did the number, honestly, on YFP. Oh, my apologies, not Jerk, but Thief, who couldn't take up the space. And kind of moving forward, I think the biggest factor is, okay, where is Nasi and Infiltrator, and how can we get away from that? So definitely looking into, you know, this A site, what's going to happen here.
Okay, the Haunt might have detected at least the one Cypher of YFP who has that neural theft. You need a body for it, though, and that means you gotta shoot him. Thief has to wait, though, for this one way to be done, and he just heard someone walk up for the orb, and it's not much a Sentinel can really do to tussle with that. Meanwhile, YFP have made their way through mid, but with all the smokes, they're actually gonna try and cross through top mid, and Infiltrator just heard the Gecko flash. Almost walks into, oh, he actually did walk into the front, the fault line. So YFP taking their time, gonna pivot now towards B, already cleaning up. Silence as the first blood. You got a Thrash from YFP, and it's chasing down this Fade all the way at the back. This is gonna allow the Cypher of YFP to step up and get a free kill. Screwface almost got his gun back in time, but there's neural theft.
And kind of acknowledging now that Jake needs to get that plant down. He's really big on the hit off Nasi. So big back off there. Honestly, it's the obedience that they know that they need to keep in hand that keeps Winthrop alive, at least for Jerk to keep, you know, the possible Vandal up for the next round just in case things go awry. But they have a lot of economy. I don't think there's much of an issue kind of moving forward as to, you know, who might be able to win the next round there.
What a round for YFP to win when things looked a bit dicey at B, and not very certain on how you were going to get this neural theft converted. But just good patience from YFP Cypher all around to wait for the one-way. Let them have the orb. You don't have to be overly aggressive, especially in a 1v1, especially when you're a Cypher. So YFP explored mid, had some fun with the fault line, and we're just baiting Winthrop into panicking using utility. And then YFP returned to the A side and find success.
Making numbers, Jerk. Playing good on the kind of informational space. I think here, especially like with the pings we're seeing, obviously mid-take happening again. Luckily enough, not having anybody there on the side of Winthrop that are interested in what mid has to offer, which is interesting enough on its own. I feel like there's so much like valuable information that just kind of goes unseen majority of the time, but definitely setting themselves up for success. Huge early access or information gather there coming through from Screwface just upon A.
Not like that YFP are adjusting. Last time they tried to be hit, there was like a 3-man swing from Winthrop, and that was the one round Winthrop won too. So YFP adjusted by trying to be more ready for that swing. Now that it's not there, some orb collection again favoring Winthrop over at the A side, who are starting to push through. They are going to have to get through some Cypher trips, so YFP, their decision has been forced. They're going to go through Market. The Paranoia pierces through the B site, but it's Silence that has already cut Jake off at the heel while he was throwing that Paranoia, and YFP haven't really benefited from that. They send Wingman to go and plant, and YFP have recovered the spike, but they haven't taken care of these B-site defenders. Finally, YFP are going to take fate in their own hands, but it costed some unnecessary bodies. Rolling Thunder this time from Winthrop's breach, and a response by the Fade of the Nightfall. YFP surviving 2 ultimates in a 3v1.
Yeah, with 30 seconds, oh man, and Nasi's just trying to look for possible entry. Moving in upon onto site. They do have a fault line to use within this round, but I don't even think it matters. They can't even stall for this plant. Pretty much having to fight a 1v3 as well. But they have a chance. The fault line readily available. And 3 players just waiting on site.
Nasi, why is he always left in these 1v3s, man? He's already been tagged. The fault line doesn't hit him, but it was a double man swing. And Nasi, one day he'll clutch those, I swear. But 4-1 YFP with a good start, already adjusting to just being more aware of Winthrop's shenanigans, and then coming from mid through B worked out for YFP. They just gotta actually take over the site and not just half of it, because they felt a little unaware of what was going to be on the other side of that main pillar on B and got kind of caught off by Silence.
Right there.
Yeah, big moves already. Honestly, listen, YFP, they're just looking really good. And they're scaring me because my pick'em's going to look really bad moving forward. But nah, Winthrop, they definitely have a lot of chance to take things back. I think it's just kind of regathering their stance, right? They got accustomed to what they were used to with Nasi now officially taking him down first thing as well.
Nasi was just chilling there. Wasn't playing like a fault line play with maybe Infiltrator, and now his Cypher is smoked off from the site. Now YFP have fully taken over the site. So we're seeing those improvements live. They got the spike planted. It's a 5 versus 3. Winthrop have a neural theft, but you gotta be alive to use it, ideally. So YFP kind of have the round in their hands. A great pick by Penny, and YFP can start exiting the site.
You know, really pushing through for a run-up either. Screwface is just looking for the athlete frags, which, I mean, definitely the best choice in a scenario where you are stuck in 1v5, but the numbers are crazy to me. Is a 5-1 coming through from YFP. Huge losses on the side of Winthrop, and I'm going to be honest, I think a large majority of that might lie in just the plays coming through from Winthrop, it was super aggressive from the start. YFP kind of shutting that down immediately, and then just the continuation of that, of not learning the playstyle of YFP, instead just saying, hey, I have a strat and I'm going to push through with it and we'll see how it works out, rather than, let's info gather really quick. We're on the defense. We don't have to push aggressively. We can take our time, taking a step back and kind of understanding what's going on. And I feel like that's what they need to do. Just take a moment to breathe and see what Winthrop or what YFP are trying to achieve here on the attacking side, which, might be the best case scenario for kind of like the playstyle that YFP are doing. It's nothing, there is no pattern, but you can see small occasions where they do like to roam mid on occasion, or they do like to take a step back and wait for that Winthrop push. So definitely keeping that in mind for sure.
It's weird to see how disjointed Winthrop have looked, especially after just how successful of a last week they had. And the biggest round for me was when they used Rolling Thunder and Nightfall, speaking of Winthrop, and got no kills out of it, and actually ended up losing the whole round. And that was to try and retake the B sites. So they really got to have a game plan when they're going to invest that much.
No, I agree. It's like walking in blind almost a lot of the time, which is not the way. And again, Cam could be used pretty heavily out towards mid, or obviously Cam kind of set up for cover up in B, but just more so thinking about the possibilities, pushing up A again, right? Something that we've seen time and time again. Oh, I said it, but something that we've seen over and over again and still not working. So maybe now it'll work.
Well, Winthrop get these free A orbs, and that's cute and all, so we'll see if the ults that they get with it net them any round wins. Winthrop have been able to push pretty deep into A in terms of their defense, and YFP just now tried to contest that a bit, but YFP are going for the more safer plays and very slow, methodical, and with how far pushed up that Screwface is on Winthrop on the A site, I think Winthrop should be able to download where this push is coming from. So the double satchel, the showstopper right in Jerk's face, and YFP going in deep. Jake with 2, and YFP cutting down everyone that stands in their way.
Just shut that down immediately. And that's so unforgivable. Like, it's crazy that all you need to do is drag your mouse like one inch and then you get a 2K. So definitely not the way they wanted to go down, but that's okay. YFP taking in another round, going 6-1. And the extra mile, honestly, they're looking comfortable. I don't really see any discomfort in their playstyle. I'm honestly seeing like Infiltrator's going 0-6 because he's just not able to find like that prime play that they're setting him up for, which is super unfortunate, honestly.
Yeah, see, double kills like that shouldn't be happening. You should definitely have your teammate watch something else, check every corner, and really be organized. Winthrop, they tried for the aggressive pistol play in the very first round, going through mid, and then realizing how more even this match was going to be, have decided to dial things back. Penny with first blood, taking care of Screwface. Teleport at the back of the site from Jake. He's just like that. And this is YFP taking full control, and they got smoke set up and people on the other side to watch.
And they weren't even ready. It's so difficult. They had nothing set up for that moment. Pretty much Screwface trying to push through with some sort of util, but now Nazi setting up for a big play off the fault line alone, leaving Infiltrator to possibly find that first pick that allows them some space, but having Sheriffs makes it 10 times harder, and now the flank not even working out. So even then, with a push like this, it's better to just count your losses, take the exit frags, and say goodbye.
Winthrop not able to get a single rifle upgrade, and the flash is so well timed from YFP from the fault line to Will having every Gecko util available to him, and YFP get a flawless round out of this. Like, yeah, it was a gun diff, but Winthrop not playing really stacked together, leaving their Fade and A elbow while not having someone at least there to trade. If you're going to go for pistols, usually you stack more people together, but pretty decisive in YFP's favor right now.
Yeah. How is this game gonna go is the true question. Seeing a difference in setup though, Lemon, like op and mid, question mark? Will that work? Maybe. 3 players already set up for the play here.
And Screwface usually likes to hold A, so it's going to try and contest mid, which is something YFP have loved to take control of, and that Winthrop have had issues really contesting, but with that smoke, it just nullifies the impact of the op. YFP gets to quietly walk up mid, gonna break down this door. It's all up to Styling's. Paranoia is gonna hit everyone, but Styling's too scared to swing, and then he loses that to Penny. Styling's had the full advantage, but just didn't want to go for the 3K that Silence was so goated at last time. But there's that op we know and love from Screwface at the top of the B site, but YFP have already planted. It's a rolling thunder from Physic to just hose down Winthrop at the back, and now they look like they want to save this op.
They better. That money out of the bank, $0. Like, I got no investment for that. So it's good. It's good to keep that off of Screwface. It didn't necessarily do what I thought it would. Obviously, early smoke coming down mid from Jake, which was such a good play. And it's so like micro that you would look at that and be like, oh, well, that's typical. But they're expecting everything from a team like Winthrop. Okay, we're gonna play mid. They could be watching this. They could be opping this. It's every single fraction just accounted for, especially now where Nasi is. They just can't go unnoticed.
Infiltrator. What? Oh, he's stuck in the... Oh, no. That's 2 rifles. Okay, they saved the op, though. That's the golden goose. But you lost 2 rifles, and Winthrop's economy is already in shambles, so that's going to kill this round for Winthrop. Now going for at least some SMGs to ideally help support Screwface. He got 1 pick with the op at B site once he swapped from holding mid to B. But we kind of alluded to the impact of the controllers in this matchup, but Jake is controlling so much of the map for YFP with where he places those.
The movement already moving towards B. They are going to use Rash just getting stuck, which all in all, it did do the job of being able to notify that, but the op's still in the hands of Screwface. Huge shots moving forward.
It's kind of like a fish in the net there, with just Thrash getting stuck, and wow, Winthrop is just gonna push through the cage, I guess. He still got an up, and you got a Sheriff. This wasn't gonna be a round favoring Winthrop just based on the buys, but they just kind of want to get this round over with what I'm seeing. They're running through cages and the Gecko Mollies that are placed in those cages. YFP looked like they came into this game with a full plan.
They knew the execution they wanted to hit him with, which they've just been honestly running through every single thing in the strat book, in my opinion, just to get by. But it's been working. Thief performing excellently on the Cypher, being able to, again, info gather so early on in the round. They're always the one left alone playing into the split play here and kind of seeing what they could take. So it really is about the information, but Infiltrator going up short.
Infiltrator's just fully blind. Showstopper down mid. There's no one home. And we needed Infiltrator to start putting the cape on. Honey, where's my super suit? Because we're not seeing that Superman potential out of Infiltrator the way that he's really helped Winthrop in the past. And remember, both these teams won Sunset against some pretty respectable opponents last week. So for Winthrop to look this loss this early is quite concerning. Maybe the half reset is going to help. There's 2 rounds left, and we're in a 4v4. Infiltrator, the crosshair's a little too high. It's going to leave the paint shell behind to pressure Thief back as Infiltrator feels a bit stuck. Not sure if he can really cross through mid, and that's where Nasi can step up from Market if he really wanted to. Now YFP, though, they have the spike heading to A.
Big continuation. Moving up towards A, but Screwface knows that they've been pummeled on a site like this one before. They just don't want to do it again. Rotation still not coming in down towards A. No information, but a huge possibility, honestly, to kind of capture this moment. They do have somebody mid. Physic is there to completely shut this down, though.
With that camera throw, too, Screwface figured out their plan and is gonna retreat to get more support, but then YFP have explored mid and cut off rotations, and he's getting a bit silly with it. But I think YFP are allowed to have this level of this type of ego with how well YFP are performing. It is a 1v2 for Silence, and he was the guy who top fragged last week. 59 kills over 3 maps, more than anyone else. And time is running out, though, and he just has to go in loud and proud. Smokes in place, paranoia in, teleport across, spike in front of him. Gonna try and just stick it through the smoke, but Thief had other ideas.
Yeah, shut it down. Huge play off YFP. It could be like the same iteration that I could say before, right? With just, I mean, this team kind of rolling down in the gunfights. It doesn't even matter. Cancellation down in mid that YFP was trying to play with Physic there. And especially just like the slow takes, the quiet takes. And in the moments where Winthrop aren't trying to get early info or early picks, it's like they just can't seem to get information at all. And there's no nice medium, which makes it super unfortunate. But already smoking out and trying to create a diversion up towards A, while majority of YFP tried to hit this B site, which has been working very well.
And YFP haven't like had these crazy fast pushes, so all these haunts that Screwface are pulling out, or these prowlers, are not getting them as much information as they like. Winthrop are not going to even chase the A side orb because they have 3 ultimates, and I think it's fair for Winthrop to just lay back, sunglasses on, and play for retake. Go on vacation. You ain't got the guns to really contest the YFP entry, but you got 3 ults of the Rolling Thunder and the Nightfall that can help you reestablish that site control. And you need to keep Jerk alive because this is the last round of the half, and you need to get this neural theft off.
Oh, and he just wants to skip this. Make his way onto site, which might be easy for Thief, but maybe not. Already Pain Shell kind of thrown around the back end, and so much util to use for the post plant. So this is the perfect case scenario for YFP.
Oh, Nazi's out in the open, and so is Infiltrator. Easy double kill for Physic, and you got Nightfall that's really messing things up for YFP. But they can go for the plant, but the fact that they don't know where Winthrop are coming from, I think that Nightfall has gotten a lot of good panic value. YFP are surrounded. They don't know where the retake is coming from. And Jerk is the last one in a 1v2 with 5 HP. Just heard where that boombot was from and was trying to take care of Penny, but this is going to be a quick sunset. I was not expecting this to be this one-sided.
YFP, what's going on? Like, what did you eat? I don't know. Like, I think too, obviously with Winthrop, it's an issue on both sides. Like, YFP just, again, being able to play so well with the roster changes that they've made. Obviously, Will taking in more of an initiator role, allowing Penny to really shine, as well as Physics. So it's mostly just the cohesion, right, that YFP are facing, but also just the incapability to really read into set plays from Winthrop and understanding the iterations that this team like to make. This team has recently been getting aggressive because of that comfort, so now they're going to try to face that with aggression coming back from Winthrop here.
Winthrop, they have a lot on their plate, including school and including a dead body. Jeez, Infiltrator just got stunned up by the breach trap play from YFP, and they're just spraying through the cage. Winthrop have a route to escape now, but it's not over yet. They're still committed to A. Will is gonna try and play his life. The aftershock is gonna dislodge him, and Will goes 1 for 1 off of that. The smoke will slow down the retake from YFP. Thief and Jake, 3, 2, 1, and swing, and Silence can't handle the heat. But Jake versus Jerk. Who has the bigger J at the end? Only one can keep the J in their name, and it's Jerk. And he's gonna help Winthrop climb back.
The round that was needed to bring back Winthrop University. It would have been devastating, right? Seeing them go 12-1 and then have to play for that match point the whole entire time. They've given themselves some leeway, at least 1 round, right? If something goes wrong in their journey, trying to get this comeback. But wondering if YFP are going to buy. It seems like not. They aren't really interested. They know they have lots and lots of time to really just digest what's going on in the attack there from Winthrop. But I'd say interesting. Being able to run away with a pistol round like that is definitely huge for the economy, but still slowly working themselves up towards 8 and working as a pack here.
Yeah, 3-2 from Winthrop, where Spike is leaning towards B, but this exchange could be everything from Winthrop. They have the better guns, but with the stack that YFP have, they're going to hold strong with the high-low and getting impatient. Jerk is going to call out the 2 or 3 that he saw, and Styling swings from the other angle. That's huge, and Winthrop needed that pistol. I mean, look at the deficit. It's going to take a miracle to come back from this, but a pistol and an anti-eco is the start that they needed, the mental reset that they needed into the second half. While Winthrop have cut all noise, they have their spikes set up at B, and they're ready to enter in. But I think this camera from Thief has already spotted it out, but what can you really do with a classic? YFP are smoked off from Market. Thief is thinking about peeking through this smoke, and now he's getting shot through. This is gonna be a bit tough. Steve, I can't believe he stayed there. And then Infiltrator just turns on him as soon as that happens. So good round for Winthrop.
A game of hide and seek. The one gets caught. So now YFP waiting for the exit frags as usual. Though Winthrop better, looking better, feeling better. Working with these weapons is going to be quite challenging, though, obviously, with Vandal starting to pop up for YFP. But, I mean, a huge capability if they manage to keep these last two here. My apologies. If they manage to destroy these last two here, it seems like Naughty's on their way to do so, knowing they need to be eliminated. But eliminating yourself was not in the game plan. So they have lost one gun.
Yeah, and Winthrop are still down 8 rounds, and now with the pistol and anti-eco, we go for bonus. They'll keep these rifles, but YFP now upgrading to Vandals is concerning, because this is how they can go to match point and get Sunset under their belt quicker than anyone would have expected. Because a reminder that both these teams won Sunset last week, 13-10, I believe, in OT. Like, very narrow wins, but still more rounds. Winthrop won more rounds than this last week. So I don't know if there's exams or something, but this is not the Winthrop we were expecting for sure. But hey, comeback's a comeback.
The breach walk really just has me on a chokehold there. I'm so upset. It looked good, but it doesn't look so good anymore, especially as the flank comes along. And YFP now stuck in a very awkward position. They've lost at least one player now. Something that they weren't expecting, with Infiltrator taken in the next.
Just YFP read this mid-top push from Winthrop well, and they set up Physic in the defender's side spawn. So when Winthrop started turning towards B, you had Physic there kind of cut off those rotations.
One enemy remaining.
So 3 versus 2, now 1v2 for Jerk. And the spike planted. Paint Shell will force him out of position, and it helped him win the 1v1, but this is concerning now with YFP going to match point. Winthrop can't afford any more mistakes, but the mistakes have been made, and the consequences are being felt for sure.
Yeah, 12-3. And now the Thrash is left available, so you have a huge ultimate to just solidify this round early off. Playing on defense with his Thrash is probably going to be the biggest play that they could honestly make here, especially with like mid information kind of being sought out by Will as well. So yeah, it's difficult. I feel like Winthrop are prepping themselves for an unfortunate loss, especially with the circumstances given.
I think it's also what we can commend that YFP have had a fantastic offense. Yeah, 11-1 half, I believe, or something like that, where Will, the Thrash, getting rid of the Cypher util. Will, keeping all his utility for the post plan or entering with it. Like, YFP are entering the sites really well. Yes, they're on defense, and they're letting Winthrop kind of dictate what the engagement is going to be. Winthrop have free mid control, but now with mid top not smoked off, it's kind of a place they don't want to be at.
This is a place that Infiltrator is definitely not wanting to be at. I think Jake reads into this pretty well. Yeah, Jiggle Peak already kind of moving forward into that huge shot, so does manage to get some sort of trade-off. So there isn't a lot lost here.
Thief's got a camera in the corner. Might have spotted Silence there. Or not. Actually, Thief is going to have to get his gun out pretty quick once Silence crosses in. And Silence has a paranoia if he's expecting someone in that corner, but it's the trap play with Physic popping the aftershock.
30
and
seconds left.
Winthrop is still trying to take A elbow control, and with YFP stacking this could decide the map on how Winthrop get in here. But with the neural theft from Jerk, they realized what's awaiting them on the other side, and they said, screw that, we're going to B.
Putting a lot of effort into this too, Jake, with a paranoia that does try to stall this back, but with 8 seconds left, all they need to do is keep this from happening.
Kill the planter. He has to kill the planter. There's 3 seconds left, and great protection from Nasi. 4 versus 3 for Winthrop with the spike planted, playing from B main and running as fast as they can away from the thrash that Will just put out. And with the now actually changing up his gun. He had a judge, and I was kind of liking that, but it's fine. Something a bit straighter, a bit better in the wingman. Taken out from the diffuse. Thief gonna even up the numbers. And YFP are exposed in the middle of the site. And Screwface! What an angle he takes for Winthrop.
They just clutched up a round of their life. This is the turning point. I'm gonna jinx it. This is not the turning point. This is a good round. But a great round at that. Honestly, Screwface really clutching up. And that's such a great way to kind of show that you deserve your spot, on this team. So definitely pulling through with the way they handled that round. And again, it really all it takes is just patience, timing, and not really feeling the pressure, especially with the wallbang that happened there. That was absolutely gorgeous. But keeping in mind now too, Spike all the way on the other hand of that B side, looking up towards mid, but by themselves is so risky.
Still match point for YFP. Mid control for Winthrop. The door is open. This Prowler might have spotted Penny, and there's Physic adding some support if his teammate was going to get pushed there and mark it. So they're fine. They're going to go and chill over at B while Winthrop have kind of made noise. They made those B defenders panic by sending a Prowler over there. So it's almost like Winthrop has sold the B site hit, but they're going to A.
They could kind of work this through. Thief's back kind of turned, and they do hear it. The fault line keeping them in place there.
This is some good util. Infiltrator. Oh, there's the swing from Jake. And Infiltrator will always lock on heads for at least one, but make it 2 this time. The numbers favoring Winthrop with such a deficit, but Jerk stays calm and collected and collects 2 for that. And it's up to Will with the Sheriff with a rifle in his way. But with this kind of crossfire from Winthrop, Will is just gonna give that up, and Winthrop will take back-to-back rounds.
Will it be, a big factor moving forward?
One enemy remaining.
Just like kind of orb collecting, I feel like would be a huge hit for a team like YFP, because they're pretty close to collecting some of their ults moving forward, maybe. But interesting take on this for the way YFP are playing. I mean, either way, they know they have some sort of leeway, so there isn't much stress. I feel like if you're on the side of Winthrop, it's definitely worse for them, and the fact that they're able to hold on so long kind of shows that.
And YFP are on match point, and yeah, Winthrop have won 4 rounds now on this offense, so this is definitely worked out better for them. I think YFP just have to talk about how they approach either preventing the site from getting hit in the first place or fully giving it up and playing for retake. And I think it's very fair for YFP to play for retakes, especially if they have some good ultimates going into the next round. I didn't see what they really had there, but if I'm YFP, I'm not really worried. I wonder if there's going to be a plan to contest that A orb that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And with the stack that YFP are going for, it's definitely a maybe.
Yeah, just one off of the fault line. My apologies, the Rolling Thunder. That could help tremendously, especially with the AoE there. Being able to just take out so many players at once and solidify that big solid ground. But already huge early info. Just clearing this. And this is good. Infiltrator has so much space to work on.
Face your fear!
There's a Nightfall to take over the site. This is gonna put Jake in a perilous position, but Thief in A long is gonna assist and get silenced. So 4v4 as Winthrop round their way from the A elbow to pressure the back of the site, and with the smoking away, Infiltrator is a little too aggressive, didn't wait for the rolling thunder that his teammate had, and Winthrop almost overcooked on this offense, but I don't blame them with facing a match point scenario. Screwface has to save the map, and the double swing in front of him. Throw out some util, the wingman will not bait him out. Screwface with one, but not the other.
Wow.
YFP with a dominant 13-5 win on Sunset.
The victory that YFP deserved tremendously after the performance that they just put through. It makes sense, like everything kind of leading up to this moment, right? Just being able to take that 11-1 against Winthrop, and just the way they played was they've read into everything, and it kind of makes me curious as to what the prep work was looking like building up to this event, right? And what exactly they wanted to fix, what they knew was wrong with their compositions before and their playstyles before, because the way they look now is tremendously different from the way they were looking before.
Yeah, and we saw kind of the effect of Breach Gecko and the Fade Breach from the side of Winthrop, but we got to break a lot of things down. Winthrop breaking down early and not being able to catch up in time. There's more to talk about, but we'll see you on the other side of the break.
I know whose crosshair that is. Okay, so this is Jing. I think it's a recent, I think it's Masters Madrid. PRX Jing. I don't know against, who did they play? Was it one of the European teams? I'm gonna go PRX Jing, Masters Madrid versus one of the EMEA teams.
I already know. Alright, Forsaken's the one clutching. It's PRX versus EDG. The clip is the only reason I know. It's just too iconic.
Is this from like this VCT? I don't even know what teams were on there. I think KC ran Yoru comp on Split. I remember that. I might just say KC. I don't know who against though.
First of all, it's a pretty weird crosshair. And playing Yoru on Split. I think I only saw one team that I notably remember playing Yoru, and it was K Corp. So I'm just gonna guess it's like Martine against 100 Thieves.
Okay, this is Forsaken 1v5ing. Forget exactly what team this was. Was this EDG that he 1v5? No, not EDG. It was Genji, I think. He 1v5 Genji in this. And this was last tournament Masters Madrid.
I know the crosshair because I'm on that crosshair. They're playing Yoru on Split. That just seems like a horrible idea. I think this is like, I mean, I know this is VCT. This is Paper X, some Forsaken, and I don't remember who they were playing, but some APOC team, right? So yeah.
This is Jing? Oh, it's Forsaken. Not Jing. Oh, I messed up.
PRX Forsaken.
Let's go Forsaken.
It was EDG. Dang it, I knew it. I don't know why I sucked myself out of that.
That's the first time I've seen that clip, so if you didn't have the crosshair, I would have no idea.
Today, 3 kills already. It doesn't look too good for Paper X. You might think this is an easy goal, but it's not. The weaker weapon of Forsaken, good for 2. Maybe more to be found, but nobody low. He's 90 HP, finding another 3. Oh, 5 for Forsaken. An ace for Paper X. Unbelievable.
The game starts long before the game starts. And warm hands are faster hands. Gain the upper hand and power up your pregame warm-up with Zippo hand warmers.
Okay.